Hey folks, welcome back to the Mike Lopez Show. Again, I'm your host, ACMike Lopez. They call the AC Atlantic City Mike. Well, listen, we got the real Atlantic City personality here who's been through it for many, many years. Don't ask her how old she is because she looks beautiful at any age, and she's killing it right now as we speak. A very good friend of mine, Vicki Gold Levi. Welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure to finally be on camera with you, Mike. It's a new experience.
It's, you know what, it's a new experience for me too. Vicki and I go back a little bit. I'll tell a quick little story. 3-4 years ago, it may have been, walking through the lobby of Boardwalk Hall, 10,000 people for graduation, Stockton University, and the lobby is being redone, and it's the Atlantic City experience, which we'll touch on a little bit. And this woman comes out of these drapes and says, "Hey, you with the hat, come here. I want to show you something." And that's how we met 4 years ago. And I still tell that story all the time. And here we are again. Vicki, tell us a little bit about you. Drop back, because we could take an hour with you. But
well, you know, I mean, the apocryphal story is that I sang on the boardwalk in Atlantic City before the national anthem. I don't know if that's true, but it could have been. My dad was the chief photographer at Atlantic City, and my mom was kind of a stage mom. So I was a very precocious little girl. And at the age of 5, I had my own radio show on WMID called Views by Vicki with Al Owen. And then, you know, when Bess Meyerson was Miss America in 46, I carried her train every night down in Convention Hall when she gave her crown away to Marion Buford. So ever since I was a little kid, I participated in Atlantic City, in the hullabaloo of Atlantic City. And then I became a teenager, not as interested, went to college. But then I wanted to do a book about Atlantic City. And my father had passed away at the time, but I got together with Lee Eisenberg, who was the editor of Esquire magazine, Susie Suttle from Atlantic City, and Rod Kennedy. And we put together, you know, kind of what was the Bible of Atlantic City, the book Atlantic City, 125 Years of Ocean Madness. And I had collected so much stuff that, along with Florence Miller and Tony Kuchera, we opened up the Atlantic City Historical Museum on Garden Pier. And that was taken over by the library, Heather Perez at the library. And that morphed into the Atlantic City experience. So it's been, you know, a process of getting the story out, glorifying the history. And it's been a wonderful journey. And, you know, I love Atlantic City. I always have, always will, like you, Mike.
Yep.
And sand in my shoes, we say, sand in my shoes. So that's my story. But I have other interests too. As you know, you came to my show in Miami, that I did a show in Cuba. I've been to Cuba many times. I've done books on Cuba. There's a lot of similarity between Havana and Atlantic City. I even do a program on that. So that's who I am.
And, you know, there's so much more to it. You're being generous here with the time that we have. But listen, one of the things Vicki has done was with many folks are familiar with the HBO series Boardwalk Empire that was on HBO for, I guess, a 5 or 6 year run.
5 years. I and Heather Perez were the historical consultants on that. And I have to say, that was a great experience. I loved it. And the boardwalk that they built in Brooklyn was really like old Atlantic City. It was so incredibly perfect. Yeah, it was a great experience. I worked on many movies and Broadway shows about Atlantic City, TV shows. You know, I have a resume.
You have a resume a couple pages long, and then you're still involved. You do many things. We spoke about it before we went on for our interview here. You know, your affiliation, we're with Stockton University. I'm so honored to be part of the Stockton team and family, to be able to broadcast this show and tape it with the students and staff. Tell us your involvement with Stockton and some of the great people you work with.
Well, I'm really a big fan of Stockton. And I work with Wendell White, who's the Distinguished Professor of Arts at Stockton. And we curated the Atlantic City Historical Museum for 20-some years. And then in honor of my father, I give 2 scholarship awards every year to photography students at Stockton. And we didn't do it last year because of the pandemic, but every year we do the Al Gold lecture series where we invite an artist to come and talk. But this year, Wendell and I are the artists. And sometime probably in April, we're going to give our next lecture. And I'm working on an interesting project about everybody famous and infamous who either came from Atlantic City, made their career in Atlantic City, or even died in Atlantic City. So it's a fun project. And we're going to create a website about it, too.
I can't wait for that. Listen, I'll be looking for it, and anything I can do to help out, please let me know. Again, they've been so gracious to me. One day I had Dr. Kesselman on my radio show on WOND, and at the end of it, we talk, we hug, we shoot the boo-boo over at Stockton University, Atlantic City campus, and he says to me, Mike, anything I could do for you? This is about 3 years ago. Let me know. You want to use the campus anytime, Galloway, Atlantic City. And I'm okay. Thank you, sir. And I said, you know what? There is something. I want to do a show on your TV station. He was like, well, what would you do? I said, just what we just did. So again, I love him. He said, yes. 2 months later, I'm getting emails from Dean Honecker and Mike Z and Jordan and the others. So here we are. But again, with you, your family is so rich in Atlantic City. I mean, I go sit on benches and I turn around and I look on the bench and I see Vicki Gold Levi or your dad. And, what do you feel as far as the resurgence of Atlantic City, Vicki? I mean, you're around, you come in, you see us, you come join us at events. You've seen it in its heyday when it was WPG, the world's playground, and then what it is today. Tell us how you feel.
Well, it's a mixed bag, if I'm going to be honest. It's a mixed bag.
Sure.
The casinos certainly have added a lot of luster. Steel Pier, the fabulous, what is it called? The wheel. It's Steel
Observation
Pier.
Wheel.
Observation Wheel. The Cantinos have done a great job. Boardwalk Hall is stellar, and of course, I can't forget the pipe organ. I'm a trustee of the pipe organ, and we give tours, and every Wednesday with big concerts. And so there's a lot of things to do. How about Lucy the Elephant? I'm on that.
That's right.
Too. And even though it's Margate, it used to be a Southern Atlantic City. It was a real estate howdah. And we have Gardner's Basin. I'm sure I'm leaving out things. One of my favorite things is the Civil Rights Garden. I love that. And the Ralph Hunter's Museum. There's a lot to do down there. But there's also a lot that has to be fixed. Some of the lights, some of the pavements, some of the destitute has to be helped more. It's a mixed bag, but it's still a great place to come. Stockton in Atlantic City is fantastic. The Knife and Fork is still there over 100 years. We have a lot going for us, and we still have some things we can fix, if I'm going to be honest.
And I love your honesty, because I've always said it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Clean, safe, well lit. Those are a few things that we need there in the city. Get the people's taxes down and whatnot. And we want people to move in. And one of the things that they're going to cause people to move in is those things being done. Clean, well lit, whether it's Pacific Avenue or whatnot. And that's another show that we'll talk about one day.
Mike, the saying is location, location, location. We're on the Eastern Seaboard, and you can't have a better location than that.
And that's absolutely right. 1854, Dr. Jonathan Pitney, health and wellness, and that's what's there. Free beaches, beautiful boardwalk. Folks, we've been talking to Vicki Gold Levi. Vicki, last word to you.
Well, you asked me to tell you my favorite story about Atlantic City, right, Mike? Okay.
That's right.
So one of the things I remember, a lot of my stories are of my past. But not really, because I was a judge for Miss America when Kate Schindler won, and I've judged Miss America. So there's a lot of things I've done currently as well. But when I was a little girl, about 7, I was the flower girl on the wedding in the diving bell on Steel Pier. That was so exciting and frightening to me. I was so afraid to go into the depths of the murky sea. And we went down in the diving bell, and you couldn't see anything. It was just murky water. But anyhow, I felt a little calmer. And then you whoosh up, you just whoosh up. So that was a fun little memory of mine.
That's awesome. And you know what? I'm sure you have so many more. Vicki, listen, we appreciate you coming to the lens for us for the show. Can't wait to have you here in Atlantic City on the 401, 48 blocks, and us taking a walk on the boards. And listen, continue to be that ambassador you are. You've been doing it for many decades. You continue to do it. What you do is make the city beautiful, whether it's the Atlantic City experience, the Stockton affiliation. We appreciate you and thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a friend.
And I feel the same way about you, Mike, and I would always do anything for you, Mike.
Thank you kindly. Folks, stay right where you're at. We'll be right back.